Smith.
Hi guys, I'm Danny Buchan.
I am Tom Sykes.
This is Motorsport Radio.
Oh, yeah. Hello and welcome. This is another Superbike show. My name's Lester and we are here live once again talking about basically everything that's been going on, mostly in World Superbikes, and finding out as old Bautista, has he lost the plot? Is it all over for him? Should he just pack up, go home, retire and leave Johnny Ray to another championship? That's what we'll be discussing, amongst other things. The latest from BSB and all the gossip from MotoGP, and we've got a guest live on the show. Tell us more, Liam.
Yep, a guest on the show. You might have heard this. Speed is my need. So
what's that?
It's basically a documentary film that will be coming out in the next few weeks, and it's basically sort of looking at the psychological aspects of motorbike racing. So you've got stars such as Fast Freddie Spencer, Texas Tornado Colin Edwards, Rocket Ron Haslam, and Peter Hickman. So yeah, they're going to be stars of the film. So it's looking good. It's already had a bit of a premiere in Nottingham a couple of nights ago. So we're going to be having Mark Sloper, who has been producer and director of the film, on the show a little bit later on today. So it's going to be epic to talk to him.
Fantastic, yes. Tune in for that. It's coming in about half an hour, depending on circumstances. But we'll try and get the director of what initially seems to be possibly a bit of a classic. I haven't seen it yet, but I've only seen the trailer, which is good in itself. We'll play a bit more of it later for you. We are live this evening. It's Thursday night, and this is the Superbike Show. This is Motorsport Radio. Hello and welcome. If you've never heard of us before, this is your first experience of Motorsport Radio. Well, we talk about basically everything, not just bikes, cars as well, on a Monday sometimes, and we have live race coverage sometimes on the weekend. Best thing to do, check us out on social media if you're not already. It's M Sport Radio on Twitter and Motorsport Radio on Facebook, and we're streaming in like 10 different places right now, so it's like Twitch. We just recently started streaming, by the way, Liam, on something called VK, which I believe is very popular with the old Russians. So in order to to try and not get hacked and stay on the Russians' good side, hello, good evening. It's my best Russian accent.
We could do better than that, surely, Lester.
Not without being too racist. But anyway, so yes, my name is Lester, and we've got Liam Hodgins here this evening. So let's get started, I suppose. And some news. Start off, I think, with BSB, I think, because old Hanna-Barbera, as some call him, he's back.
Yes, Hector Barbera is back for Snetterton, BSB this weekend. It'll be his third round of the championship. Now, if you're thinking, poor Ben Curry, he's not going to be back this weekend. Now, not to worry. If you're a Ben Curry fan, Ben Curry will be racing this weekend. Yay. But unfortunately, I like that with yay in the background list. I didn't expect that at all. But Glenn Irwin won't be racing this weekend. Unfortunately, he's picked up a bit of a virus, which has left him with partial vision. So that's not sounding too good. Now, there's a few things in life, especially if you're a motorbike racer, that you definitely can't ride with, and that's partial vision. So
I think
if you try to ride with partial vision, it's going to be horrendous for you and not too great for the riders around you. Now, you might remember a certain Marc Marquez sort of dislocated his retina slightly back in 2011 when he was racing in Moto2, and a bit slightly, yeah. So he tried to race, but was eventually told not to, which was good. But yeah, racing with partial vision is never a good sign. So Glenn Irwin, fingers crossed you make a speedy recovery, because it'd be great to see you back. But Hector Barbera stands in for him. Now you might remember Hector Barbera was starting off this season racing a World Supersport, and for whatever reason, him and the team parted ways. Now we're not trying to get into any gossip or rumour mill about that.
Go on.
But I'm not. I don't know. There was a lot out and around. So I think it's probably, if you're in the inner circle, you kind of know what went on there. But yeah, Hector Barbera's back this weekend, speaking to Chris, who runs part of the operation for the JG Speedfit Bournemouth Kawasaki in association with Cool Milk. I spoke to him at Knock Hill a couple of weeks ago, and he said that, well, Hector Barbera really enjoyed his time in the BSB paddock when he raced a couple of rounds for them earlier on in the season, and you know what, he actually would have liked to have stayed. So great to see Hector Barbera back. He's enjoying the paddock. He loves the British scene. So fingers crossed he'll put in a great performance this weekend. And you never know. If he enjoys it that much, we might see him back for, well, maybe not the rest of this year, but maybe into 2020. Well, I'm not sparking any rumours just yet.
Well, except you just did. He did sound in his after his first taste of BSB properly. He did almost sound and this isn't meant to sound negative. Here we go. But in his initial interviews, he did sound like very desperate to kind of stay in what is the world's premier domestic championship, BSB. So yeah, no one can blame him for wanting to hang around at least. And now I'm not saying that how Glenn Irwin became ill or anything to the benefit of Hector Barbera. But I suppose for him anyway, right place, right time, in two very unfortunate circumstances within that team so far in 2 short periods of time. Get well soon as well, Glenn. We know he's a regular listener to the Superbike show. And I went through, I think, sounding like, without going into too much details because I don't know his details of how ill he is. Yeah, I was feeling a bit ill myself recently.
Yeah. Have you got partial vision?
I did at the time, but it anyway. Moving swiftly on.
Let's not elaborate on any of that.
So we'll just wish Glenn and the team and also Ben that they all get back up to speed. ASAP. That's presuming that. Anyway, right. Carry on. What was any other news, Liam?
Yeah, well, we've got Michael Laverty making a return for Tyco BMW this weekend in BSB. Now, Keith Farmer had a horrendous accident after not kill. Well, not after not kill, at not kill during qualifying in the wet. He was.
Have you seen his leg now? Jesus.
I've tried to stay away from the pictures. It makes me grossed out a little bit, seeing all the sort of pictures of skin grafts and people in the men. But he looks like he's in fairly high spirits. I don't know if it's just all the morphine and stuff he's been given, antibiotics. But he's looking happy on the mend, which is good. Everything's been positive in his recovery. But Michael Laverty, at the age of 38, makes his return to BSB this year. Now, he makes his return at a circuit that he's won at before. He won back in Honda in 2012, race number 2 for the Samsung Honda squad. So a very long time ago, but at least he's got a form around the circuit, and he raced for BMW or Tyco BMW last year. So yeah, it's a good wee fit into the bike. And we have Christian Eden. We said this last week, but he is looking to make a comeback this weekend. He had a bit of a crash at Knockhill as well, the same section of track just before the chicane as his teammate Keith Farmer the day before. So yeah, the Tyco BMW team aren't in a great place right now, but at least they've got a safe pair of hands and a returning Michael Laverty to help them through the weekend.
Did we really think that after he'd announced his quote retirement that he'd actually really stay away, in all honesty? Did we? Because I didn't, to be honest.
No, he went off to do some world endurance, which he's doing great. Which he's doing great this year.
Yeah, he stepped down from BSB is what I meant.
Yeah. You're probably right. No, he's one of those. He's a Laverty. Lavertys can't really stay away from racing, can they? They sort of get a sniff of something, so they'll come flying back, as we've seen many times with Eugene in the past couple of years. His horrendous injuries means I'm starting to think he should retire just so that he can keep himself safe, and he just keeps coming back and wanting some more. So fingers crossed Michael stays safe this weekend. The team really need a weekend where they can build upon some good results, progress with the bike, and Michael Laverty is great in World Endurance Championship, and he's a brilliant pundit on the BT Sport version of MotoGP. So we want to hear him and see him about for a lot more of that.
Yeah, he's all right.
Just a personal opinion.
Yeah, no, he's pretty good.
I think he's great. I think he's absolutely brilliant because he's so in depth, so clinical, just one of the smartest people to listen to, I feel like. And he's just, no matter what, he could just say something really uninteresting about MotoGP and it makes it sound very interesting.
I wouldn't accuse him of saying anything uninteresting. That's sort of more kind of my job, to be honest. But yeah, let's see how well he goes on his return. I don't know if he's had any time to test. I don't know if it's probably not exactly the same bike, is it? I don't know. But good luck to him and the team this weekend. over to MotoGP, and, well, not everybody knew about this news. Some people did because they were paying attention months ago, but not everybody did know. And I suppose if you don't, this will come as breaking news to you. But there's some post Formula One Silverstone circuit track surface drama unfolding.
Yeah, it really started on Friday at Formula One. I know, how dare we talk about Formula One in a bike show, but it's relevant to MotoGP. And Daniel Ricciardo, the Renault Formula One driver, did say that, yeah, the track is better, but there's still a few bumps in places, and there's a really horrible one approaching turn number 6 at Brooklands. So he said that MotoGP are not going to like it at all, which is absolutely fair because, yeah, Silverstone has been renowned to being very bumpy over the years before the track resurfacing. But thankfully, the people that carried out the resurfacing work, which was Studio Dromo, or sort of a solid hull-based company, Tarmac, they're called, and they said that they considered resurfacing or fixing Brooklands before Formula One, but they said basically Formula One doesn't really matter about them, but they're planning on doing the resurfacing of Brooklands before MotoGP next month, which is great news, means that obviously the riders will be a lot happier, and obviously the bikes will be able to glide over the bumps a little bit easier. So it's great work. It's great news to hear that they've seen there's an issue there. Mm. They're not going to leave it, and they're going to fix it before MotoGP next month. So great work. And all news about the resurfacing work after Formula One has been positive, and it shouldn't, fingers crossed, touch every single bit of wood you can find around you right now. Yeah. It shouldn't have an impact on MotoGP.
Exactly, yes. We would probably like to put a positive spin on the Silverstone track surface debacle by... I keep wishing everybody luck this evening, but not that Silverstone and I think it's an Italian track guy that they brought in with Italian consultancy group. That basically hired the English firm Tarmac. I think they're English anyway. And I had some trouble finding out because I got confused when I was Googling Silverstone Tarmac because the company's name is Tarmac, and I was Googling Tarmac thinking it was the tarmac of Silverstone. It got very confusing, but yeah, what you said basically.
Yeah, it's good news. So we'll try and keep it simpler for you next time, Lester. We'll get on to them, say just rename yourself. Please don't confuse Lester or something. But yeah, as we were talking about, great work. The people that had resurfaced the track this year have done many racetracks around the world, like Misano. They resurfaced that. They even remodeled the Termas de Rio Hondo circuit a few years ago before MotoGP went there back in 2014. So they're very popular amongst the racing community, especially with bikes, because they know that they basically get what they're told, or basically what it says on the tin that they'll get from it, which is absolutely brilliant. But yeah, great to see that. Fingers crossed that the work will be a lot more successful than what happened last year with I think the company was called Aggregate.
Yes,
something like that.
Aggregate Industries, I believe it was.
Aggregate Industries, yes. So they didn't do a job they were supposed to, but since they've sort of worked on building motorways,
before you get into doing what I'm doing, just like talk your way into like
a hole.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yes. Shall we just say, let's see how it develops and what happens? But this is officially, it's not unplanned renovations to the Brooklands part of the track. They knew about the bumpy surface, but whoever deemed it, maybe the FIA, Formula One deemed it was good enough for Formula One, and they had told some journalists before the Formula One weekend that they had planned to resurface or redo that bit of section in time for MotoGP. So there we go. Right, next,
and I hope I don't get any hate for this, but surprise, surprise, Valentino Rossi is not in Yamaha's future plans. Now, I'm just sort of paraphrasing there, but Lynn Jarvis has come out and said, yeah, Rossi is no longer the main future of their plans for Yamaha. Obviously, you've got Maverick Vinales there. Fabio Quartararo is making a lot of headway. So yeah, they can't. In 5 years' time, Rossi's not going to be in MotoGP, most likely. So they've got to start looking further down the line. Now, they're saying that on a rider's perspective, but Rossi will be in Yamaha's plans in the future in terms of a team role. Now, we know there's no secret, basically, that Yamaha want Rossi to bring his VR46 team up to MotoGP. He'll only really do that when he retires. He might go into a partnership with the Sepang International team. We're yet to know, but Len Jarvis has just basically come out and just told us what we all know. I mean, Rossi's 40 years old.
How dare you? How dare you? He's got a bright future ahead of him. He's got many years left on his clock, and he still takes pride of place on your bedroom wall. Where?
I don't see a Valentino Rossi picture anywhere.
Okay, then fair enough. You did a popular article last year on our website motorsport.radio in which you suggested that he was past it now, or something along those lines.
The headline was, "Is it time for Valentino Rossi to hang up his helmet?" Now, in the article, it sort of argued both sides, and at the end, I came to the conclusion that who are we to tell him that he should retire if he feels like he's competitive enough, he can train hard enough, he can find the motivation, dig deep within himself to still challenge these youngsters. Not for me to say, not for any of us to say. So, yeah, it was just a thought-provoking article.
See what you did there? See what you did?
Yeah. I've had a lot of time to think about the best way to get myself out of this hole.
Yeah, well, unfortunately for you, not everybody read the words within the article, and they just went off your headline, and everyone was accusing you of all sorts of skullduggery and that sort of thing. But it was I urge you to go and find it on the bike section, still up on our website motorsport.radio, or read back as much as Liam's article archive, if you wish, if you've got a few hours.
There's not many. It won't be that far back.
But it's a decent article, and it basically argues for both sides, really, without it's like the ultimate fence sitting on type of article. But it's not saying anything that we don't already know, and it's certainly not saying anything that I haven't already said. Anyway.
Shall we move on away from Rossi? Yeah.
Just like to say a big hello to people who've tuned in to the show already. Hello to Chris Chamberlain, Cy Boyle, hello guys, and John O'Gorman, and to Lee Cooper, amongst others, tuned in, listening live right now. Send us a message, let us know what you think about these topics. If you have any particular opinion either way, and you'd like the world to know about it, maybe you've got any controversial opinions. If Michael Howell's tuned in, hello, good evening. You're welcome.
Where are you?
Also, he was. I won't tell you what he's getting up to, but he's indisposed this weekend, this evening. But anyway, something involving a rubber glove and a pie.
I don't want to know where that's going to go.
Anyway, so this is the Superbike Show. It is Motorsport Radio, and we've got an interview coming up in the next 10 minutes or so with the director of the brand new film called Speed Is My Need. And it looks, by all accounts, pretty interesting. We'll play a big chunk of preview shortly, but director Mark Sloper coming on the show shortly. Before that, let's get back to some MotoGP gossip, Liam.
Yeah, and absolutely forget Love Island for this one. Paolo Ciabatti and Alberto Puig have been sort of in fisticuffs mode for the past couple of weeks, and Paolo Ciabatti sort of basically came out and said the Honda isn't as good as what Marc Marquez is making it out to be. Alberto Puig came out and said, "Oh, Paolo Ciabatti, how do you say that? Because you're investing so much money and you're not really winning anything in MotoGP." And Ciabatti's come back and said, "Well, whoa. You're just misinterpreting what I've said." So, yeah, I guess they're just reading what each other said in the press and not actually going over and speaking to each other, which is a bit like, Love Island, I can guess, where someone's falling out with someone else and we've got someone running back and forth in the middle, and then it could just turn out Chinese whispers, basically.
You watch Love Island, don't you?
No, I don't.
You clearly do. You've dropped yourself in there.
No, I've seen a couple of clips of it. That's about it.
So
you don't have to watch it to know what goes on in it.
That's true. I know it's rubbish without even watching it. But anyway.
There we go.
So what's the situation between those two now? Have they become friends now?
No, they'll never be friends. They're both rival team managers, and they'll be at it. They're just sort of giving each other a bit of tiff in the press. So long may it continue. Not really. Would actually rather see battles on tracks and not much going on in the press, but why not? So yeah, they'll just sort of go back and forth until it just sort of fizzles out, I guess. It's not really too much going on in the gossip side of that. There's some funny wee quotes every now and then, but that's about it.
Okay, fair enough. You might remember over the winter, the newly proposed where was it, Indonesia circuit on Lombok Island. Was it Indonesia? Am I getting that right?
Yeah, it was Indonesia, yes.
And the Mandalika circuit. Well, there's been some new renderings, some 3D drawings produced of what the paddock and the pits area will look like, which we don't have to show you if you tuned in visually. But I suppose you can describe it, can't you?
Well, yeah, basically the best thing to do is if you want to see what it looks like, go over to MotoGP.com, and they've put out a 3D rendering of what the circuit will look like. And if you fancy going to see a MotoGP race and going on holiday to a holiday resort, then Mandalika, the Lombok circuit, is the perfect place to go for you, because not only is it a racing track and it's going to be public roads, it's also going to be a holiday resort. So after they build the circuit, they're going to start building up a holiday resort around it, and it looks absolutely brilliant. Now, I know lots of people have gone off to Indonesia on holiday. They say it's one of the most amazing places in the world. Now, what better way as a bike racing fan to combine the two and go on holiday? Just trick your family. If your family doesn't like MotoGP or bike racing, trick them into going, and then you just get to sit and watch MotoGP all weekend while they go and enjoy the family holiday and chill out on a beach somewhere, or swimming pool, or go play tennis. I've never been to a holiday resort in my life, so I don't know what goes on there.
But to be fair, though, people who do, general fans, average, normal people who aren't the media, for example, when you do go to a MotoGP event, you do treat it as kind of a holiday anyway, or you incorporate it within a larger holiday. So you might spend the entire week wherever, for example, I don't know, Valencia, the end of the season, maybe, like you did.
Yeah.
And you might also at the end, towards the end or the beginning, within that larger holiday, go and watch some MotoGP. And why not? Because it is amazing.
Yeah, absolutely worth it. If you have never done a MotoGP race before, I would highly suggest Valencia. I've done it the past 2 years. I'm going again this year. But Lombok does look like a brilliant alternative when it does come about. The track actually is quite interesting as well, with a lot of fast-flowing turns, some tight, twisty sections. It's hard to tell if it's going to be a good racetrack or not. It could be, but we've just got to await more details for it. But once again, make your own decisions on it. Go over to MotoGP.com. You get to see what it looks like, and I think it looks very interesting. And
how would you rate it? How would you compare it? The facilities that have been rendered, of course, they're going to look nice, because why would you draw a dump? But of the drawings of the actual images that you've seen, how would you rate it and compare to other circuits necessarily? What would you give it out of 10?
Out of 10, it looks like a very modern circuit, of course. Bit Sepang-esque in places, a bit China-esque as well. I'd give it about an 8 out of 10 before I've actually seen any racing going on. So I probably just dug myself another hole.
Is it the sort is it the sort of place where you would pay to go and be, honestly? Because you just mentioned the comparison about incorporating it within your holiday. Is it the sort of place that looks nice enough? And we know the picturesque, if you've not seen from the start of the season anyway, it really, really does look beautiful, the area, but the actual paddock and the pit area, does that look? Because some don't look great. But
yeah, it looks absolutely brilliant. I would rate that 10 out of 10. What I quite like is in the rendering down the pit lane section, they put sort of tents and gazebo type things in it. So it's like, oh yeah, just come and sit. It's a bit like what you'd get if you were in, let's say, Barcelona, and you go to a cafe and then you go sit outside drinking your coffee or and having a wee bite to eat, and you've got the sort of wee tent thing over the top or the umbrella. And then seats. It looked like they had that down the pit lane. I was like, oh, that's quite interesting. I like to go sit down the MotoGP pit lane and enjoy myself a wee coffee and a snack while bikes are going out onto circuit. Of course not. I just thought that was quite an interesting wee addition into the 3D rendering. But it looks as a destination, holiday destination. There'll be, as I said, a resort. So yeah, 10 out of 10, absolutely. Maybe even an 11 out of 10 because
impossible.
How about Ralph Wiggum? But yeah, I would absolutely vote that a 10 out of 10.
Good stuff. So yeah, let us know your thoughts on the Mandalika street circuit. I've still not quite got the hang of. Is it whatever it's called? The official title of the Lombok Island Grand Prix, whatever. Let us know. Is it a winner with you? Have you seen the drawings? Have you seen the 3D renderings of it? And if not, why not? And if you have and you love it, then let us know. If you are someone who I suspect are part of a hidden larger community who likes to design their own circuits, probably in private and away from everybody else. I was thinking of something else.
In black.
But because I know what I'm saying is I know people who do this, not me, design their own sort of circuits. Is the new circuit good enough for? Does it? You know, is it? Do you reckon it's going to be decent? Basically, we've had that conversation already. I know, but yeah, go on.
I think you've actually just opened up quite a good idea there. Now you said people design their own circuits and they might be watching or listening to the show. I think it'd be quite good for them to design their own circuit, a good MotoGP circuit, and send it over to us, so we can put it on a later show.
So we can mock the worst ones. Let's be honest.
No, it'd be quite good to see what they can come up with that might be better than what Herman Tilke could produce.
Okay, fair enough. But I have a suspicion that most designs that people might come up with will be some sort of hybrid of Cadwell Park, Knockhill, and Assen, and Misano, and just like bits of hybrid, basically doing what Tilke did to the Circuit of the Americas and just like ripping off bits of other circuits and then mangling it together. But why not?
Yeah, but Circuit of the Americas is a good Formula 1 track, good car racing track. When it comes to bikes, it's awful. One of the worst tracks in the calendar. In my honest opinion, the racing there is never great because it's just basically stop-start for most of it, apart from the first section of track where it's just basically follow the leader through the section. And when you get to stop-start section, it's brake late, brake hard, stop the bike mid-turn, bang on the throttle, first gear, just basically stop and start. Car racing, it works. Bike racing doesn't. So design the MotoGP track, which would be a lot better a lot better for bikes, obviously, but that you could get some proper good racing on, and the riders would absolutely love.
Okay. Let us know if you've got any opinions on. We might actually develop that and make it into an actual thing, and ask people to actually send in, and we can make it a proper thing and give a Motorsport award for best fan designed circuit. Or whatever. A big hello, by the way, to people tuning in. Hello to Lee Cooper, who is tuning in, listening. Don't know if he still is, by the way. And also to Luke Hedger as well. And I mentioned John O'Gorman earlier. But yeah, if you are tuned in, hello to Neil, Andy, and David, who's also here as well. Hello and good evening. This is the Superbike Show. It is Motorsport Radio, and my name is Lester. Liam is here. And we'll be shortly having a chat with the director of the rather good-looking Speed Is My Need movie. Director's name, Mark Sloper. He will be here very shortly, hopefully, to tell us how it all came about. Because to be honest, I'd not heard about this until very recently. and it looks really, really, really good. And we'll play the preview for you coming up next.
The Superbike Show on Motorsport Radio.
Hey everyone, I'm Bradley Smith.
Hi guys, I'm Danny Buchan.
Hi, I'm Tom Sykes.
This is Motorsport Radio.
That'll work. No, my camera just went off the button. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, just call me up.
No worries.
It is the Superbike Show. This is Motorsport Radio. Hello and welcome. We will be bringing on Mark Sloper, director of a brand new fantastic film, very shortly. The trailer is Speed is My Need. And have a look at this.
I remember it like it was yesterday. Sitting on the grid, and you look right, you look left, and you go, I'm going to rip your head off and shit in your neck. You have to have that mentality to be a winner. Hell, we all know that every time we put a helmet on, that might be the last time. But it's a will and a drive that you cannot suppress.
Fascinating thing is how the human brain and body can operate at such high speed. Speed creates chemicals in the body. The chemicals become addictive.
Oh, and someone's gone down!
I don't think I'm supposed to survive. And I wake up in the ambulance. But you have to put it in that place to where it doesn't distract you. Because if it does, it's a danger to you and to everybody else.
It's thrilling and exciting, and it's what they've become so accustomed to, that life without danger is just no life at all.
Well, that looks pretty good, I would say, and that is out in cinemas at the moment. And we'll be chatting with Mark Sloper, the director, very, very, very shortly. My name is Lester, and Liam is also here. He's just gone to fetch Mark. I'll probably go and join him so we can bring him in promptly. Very shortly. In the meantime, though, since I can't have a little back and forth with people who are not here. Hello, Michael Howarth, by the way, tuned in. He was listening live whilst taking his whippet for a walk. Good evening. Hello to Dave Neal as well, tuned in as well, live on the show. And we are live. This is Thursday night, and you can tell it's live as well. Anyway, just want to mention as well about next weekend, because that is round 5 coming from Lyd, and it's the Cool Fab Racing British Mini Bikes Championship. It is the feeder series to BSB, is the official partner series, and it is on the road to MotoGP as well. And just looking back at some of the amazing highlights that happened in it, at the previous round 4 at Tattershall, let's have a quick look at some of the epic action. I think this is the AC40 Pro, race number 1 or 2, I think it was. 2 of, because they all have 3 races in a weekend. And this all happened on the final lap. Take a quick listen to this.
This is the 2019 Cool Fab Racing British Mini Bikes Championship.
But with 1 lap to go, Samuel Munson leads this race. Ethan Sparks is second, but not anymore. Mason Foster right around the outside for the race lead. Right around the outside of the final corner. So much more pace on the final lap of this race. Mason Foster jumps around the outside to take the lead of this race. So with a fantastic overtake, real gutsy stuff. Mason Foster back into the lead. Samuel Munson second, and Ethan Sparks in third.
What an incredible move by Mason Foster round the outside of the fast, flat-out turn number 10. I bet Sparks and Munson did not see that coming, but Munson still has a chance. Munson is tagging onto the back of Foster. Oh, he's down! Munson's down out of second spot through turn 7, pushed too hard, lost in front. He's back up, he's back in the race, so he's going to try and get 4th or 5th position, but that has let Foster off the hook.
And Mason Foster's down!
Foster's down! No! That's leaving Sparks in the lead. Sparks comes across the line, wins the race. High side there from Mason Foster. Incredible scenes here from the AC40 Pros on the final lap. Your race leader goes down, your second position goes down, and Ethan Sparks scoops up the pieces and takes the race win as Foster comes back into the race. Incredible scenes there. Sparks takes the race win ahead of Clayton Edmonds. Samuel Munson, after crashing out of second since Foster crashed out, picks up the final podium position in third. Henry McCartney in fourth, Warwick Brady in fifth, Finnan Wedity in sixth spot. Mason Foster comes across the line to take 7th spot ahead of Charlie Huntingford, Ruben Bray, Max Wedity and Greg Marshall. Dan, I need a lie down.
Cool Fab Racing, the official BSB partner series, and on the road to MotoGP. This is the 2019 Cool Fab Racing British Mini Bikes Championship.
But with 1 lap to go, Samuel Munson leads this race. Ethan Sparks is second, but not anymore. Mason Foster right around the outside for the race lead. Right around the outside of the final corner. So much more pace on the final lap of this race. Mason Foster jumps around the outside to take the lead of this race. So with a fantastic overtake, real gutsy stuff. Mason Foster back into the lead. Samuel Munson second, and Ethan Sparks in third.
What an incredible move by Mason Foster round the outside of the fast, flat-out turn number 10. I bet Sparks and Munson did not see that coming, but Munson still has a chance. Munson is tagging onto the back of Foster. Oh, he's down! Munson's down out of second spot through turn 7, pushed too hard, lost in front. He's back up, he's back in the race, so he's going to try and get 4th or 5th position, but that has let Foster off the hook.
And Mason Foster's down!
Foster's down! No! That's leaving Sparks in the lead. Sparks comes across the line, wins the race. High side there from Mason Foster. Incredible scenes here from the AC40 Pros on the final lap. Your race leader goes down, your second position goes down, and Ethan Sparks scoops up the pieces and takes the race win as Foster comes back into the race. Incredible scenes there. Sparks takes the race win ahead of Clayton Edmonds. Samuel Munson, after crashing out of second since Foster crashed out, picks up the final podium position in third. Henry McCartney in fourth, Warwick Brady in fifth, Finnan Wedity in sixth spot. Mason Foster comes across the line to take seventh spot ahead of Charlie Huntingford, Ruben Bray, Max Wedity and Greg Marshall. Dan, I need a lie down.
Cool Fab Racing, the official BSB partner series, and on the road to MotoGP.
You're listening to Motorsport Radio. This is the Superbike Show. Lester and myself, Liam Hodgins, are with you. And, of course, I'm glad to announce we've got Mark Sloper. So if you've never heard of Mark Sloper, good evening, Mark.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening. So Mark has, well, he's produced and directed a brand new film. So just give you a bit of a background on Mark. He has worked for the Ice Superbiker, produced that, and sequels as well. But he's got a new film that's coming out called Speed Is My Need. So, Mark, it's an absolute pleasure to have you on the show. And as I said, you produced 3 Superbike documentaries in the past. Now, you've gone for a sort of different approach with this one, which is sort of looking at the sort of psychological aspects of bike racing and how riders build their bodies and minds back up. Now, I just want to know, what actually made you go down this route compared to something else you've gone down before?
Well, I mean, I'm in attendance at all the Superbike rounds, and you wonder. I mean, what possibly goes on through their heads? You know, we're on the start line when they go over blind corners. I'm a biker myself, and there's just so few people in the world that have the skills that they have. So I thought, what I'll do this year is I'll bring in some really eminent sports psychologists to tell us what is really going through their mind. And the guys I've got in the film are the world experts. They do Formula One, they do World Superbikes. One of them does Rossi. These are the guys that talk to the guys to clear their heads and make them race.
Now, you said you've got the biggest names in sports psychologists. What was the most surprising thing that you found in terms of riders and possibly drivers having to go through to push their mental and physical limitations?
As fast, Freddie Spencer says throughout the film over and over again, it's this thing called mindfulness. It's the anticipation of what comes next. These guys could be fighter jet pilots. They're 6 steps ahead of anything that we can possibly comprehend on a racetrack. We go on a track day and we go, "Ooh, I went around that corner really fast. It was fantastic." These guys have plotted out every single calamity, anything that could go wrong. They've already anticipated and they're ready to go. It's just their minds are just they're not clever as in intelligently clever. They're just clever on a motorcycle.
It's really incredible. Now, you've mentioned Fast Freddie Spencer there, but he's not the only star you've got of this. You've also got Colin Edwards, Peter Hickman, Rocket Ron Haslam for the film. What made you go with them? Was it just that they were the most available, or was it they just seemed the most interesting?
I was very lucky predictively last year. I just knew that Leon, it was his time to win the championship. He had such disasters the previous 2 years. And as soon as Shaky went out in round 4 or 5 at Snetterton in practice, I thought, well, if Leon can't win it this year, he's never going to win it, like his dad hadn't won a championship before him. And then with Hickman, I mean, Pete, I've met through the BSB, and he's a great guy, so nice. And I thought, well, I really want this film to travel the world, and it will be on Netflix in the autumn. But the Americans, of course, they don't want to see BSB. They want to see the Isle of Man, and of course, they want some American characters. So I had to approach Colin Edwards, who's an absolute gem in the film, really explains the psychology of racing perfectly, as does Freddie Spencer. So I spent a week with Colin in America to get to know him filming. Freddie's a kind of a mate, but the important thing was my predictions just came true. So Hickey wins the TT, fastest man ever. Leon picks up the crown at BSB. It just worked out perfect.
Yeah, it seems like everything just came together for an absolute epic film. Now, there's sort of been stories in the past of Freddie Spencer having to go through turmoil, especially towards the end of his 500cc days. Colin Edwards went through some difficult times in his Superbike career. But who had the most incredible story to tell, either from a rider's perspective or from one of the psychologists?
I think it has to be Rocket Ron, because it's so hard. In the film, you'll see, Ron spends a whole load of time in the film telling us how he desperately tried to stop Leon from racing. He just said, look, be a footballer, be a golfer, do this, do that. I don't want you to be a racer. And it will pull on your heart. It makes you want to cry but Leon he's a determined little rabbit. And the pocket rocket is tough. And from the age of 4, he wanted to be like his dad, and his dad couldn't stop him. And it's quite a revelation in the film that you see Ron's visibly upset, trying to stop him from racing. Of course, Ron's his right-hand man at the races now, and what must it be like to watch your son hit a barrier at 180 miles an hour? It's not great, is it?
Yeah, you make a great point about your son hitting a barrier. We know Leon Haslam is notorious for coming off at fast speeds. So what I want to know, was there any stories that were great, but at the same time you couldn't put into the film? Maybe sort of it wasn't part of the story too well, or is everything that was great included in the film?
No, there was a load of stuff, unfortunately, at the TT. We were there filming and there was a disaster. A rider that I was going to incorporate into the film passed away. He was riding for Tyco. The Tyco BMW team were going to be a much bigger part of the Isle of Man for me, because I'm friends with Hector and Philip that run the team. And we just had a disaster. And it's like, it's just disrespectful to film, people that have perished on the track. So, the Isle of Man TT was, for me, it came good because Hickey became the fastest man, but it was also a downer because we had a fatality. So, there's quite a lot of filming that I did in the Isle of Man that I'd respectfully just put to one side.
It's a great point you make there. Who would be someone that you would have really liked to have gotten in the film that possibly wasn't available?
I did try to get Rossi, only because of the longevity of the man, and some of the experts in the film of like Rick from the Times newspaper is worked with him a lot and written lots of articles about him. And we tried, but he's just surrounded. He's not even a motorbiker now. He's like a celebrity, and it's just so hard to get to him. And I was very disappointed actually, because he has a good story to tell. Rossi started off with his dad, as they all do. His dad was up for it, and his dad was trying to get him to do it as well, and we just couldn't clinch him at the last minute, and I ran out of time. Once Rossi sees the film, which I know he's going to, he'll love it, and he'll say, "Oh, Mark, I would have done the film with you," but it's hindsight, isn't it?
Did you get a bit of an insight into what has made Rossi continue on for all of these years from a psychologist?
Well, again, in the film, it's very clearly explained that when Rossi was 29, he proclaimed he had one more year left. He's 38 now, and he just keeps on doing it. He can't, as Rick from the Times says, he just can't leave it alone. So, we don't know what's going through Valentino's mind because he's not in the film, but, it would have been good.
Now, there's a new app that's come out in the last couple of days, sort of making your face grow a little bit older. There was one of Rossi looking about 6 to 8 years old. We could potentially see him going on for as long as that. Just a couple, yeah. So it'd be great to see him, and we might have to ask him eventually if you do decide to do a sequel, what's kept him going on for that long. What will the fans enjoy the most about Speed Is My Need?
What they're going to enjoy, and I've had loads of feedback. We had a little local premiere in Nottingham on Tuesday with the Haslams in attendance. Ron, Leon had just flown back from Laguna. They came straight from Heathrow up to meet me. The cinema was packed, and the whole family were in tears. It's a very emotional film, and I'm trying to get away from the track as much as possible and really, really explain, what these guys go through and what they do and the commitment. And I think you're really going to get to know the Haslams. You're really going to get to know Fast Freddy, Colin. It's quite, it's a very personal film. So I just urge people, it's coming to the Odeon cinemas nationwide next week. There's nationwide screenings from July the 30th. It's even though I made the film, it's a great watch.
Yeah, I'm absolutely buzzing to see the film as well. Now, as you said, it's been received well. How you mentioned cracking the American market and trying to get Freddie Spencer and Colin Edwards. Do you think it will be a smash hit over there as well?
Well, the whole film was I have a Los Angeles distribution company, so the whole film originated from America. But their premise was they couldn't just have the BSB, hence the Isle of Man's a little bit more international. But the American presence in it is purely because we had a consideration from Netflix. And I've made a couple of Netflix films recently, and you know, we're only a small island. To get the film out across America, it's going to be fantastic. So we're looking at cinema screenings in America now, and again across the world. But Netflix have brought it worldwide, so it's going to be on in America, Australia. It'll be everywhere. So it's going to be good for the bike industry. It's going to be good for motorcycle racing, and it's going to be good for everyone in the world.
Is this a project that you've been most influential in, and also in the same terms most excited about making?
Well, you know, I've been doing the BSB for about 12, 15 years, and I love it. And you know, I work under the sort of directorship of Stuart, the boss, and we talk about projects. What we're trying to do is bring motorcycling back to the masses, how it was back in the sort of Barry Sheen days. We want to make it exciting. We want to make it fun. We want families to come. You know, I totally agree with the showdown in the BSB. I like the idea, you know, you work hard all year, you get top 6. We like competition and events, and we just want people to be excited. We want to get motorcycling back in the national press.
It's an absolute brilliant thing you've done, and I know lots of people will go see it because not just Superbikes, MotoGP, lots and lots of fans are coming back to watch motorsport, bike racing in particular. Now, I want to know, once this is done and you've sort of had the sort of downtime of it, will you maybe plan on doing a sequel as well?
I don't know if it'd be a sequel. The idea, I think, now is after having done the iSuperbiker series, which was BSB, is to try and just look at these angles. I mean, I've done the psychology on this one, but I've got an idea. I do like the idea of all the families of motor racing. So the Haslams have really opened my eyes, because even in BSB, in our small paddock, you've got the Mackenzies. You know, we've got Taron and Niall there, and his brother Tad. We've got lots of family involvements, and you know, Hickman is in the bikes because of his dad. I like the idea of exploring the relationship between, you know, great sporting families. So I might look at that next year. But the film that's made has taken me 2 years to make.
What was the biggest challenge in taking 2 years to make?
Money.
Always comes down to money, doesn't it?
I mean, I'm there at the track. I do the filming. I've got a couple of guys helping me. But the edit of the film, it really hurt me. I mean, it took 2 years to make, and hopefully you can see it on the screen. I had to have the music commissioned, and it's a drama-packed film, and it's working well.
Well, we've just seen the trailer so far, and it looks absolutely incredible. So I encourage whoever is a bike racing fan, or even not, to go see it. Mark, one last wee thing, in your own words, or describe the film in 3 words, if you can.
I think a few more than 3. It's a psychological look at why superbikers race.
I like that. It's a great way to end it. Mark, thanks very much for your time. And Speed Is My Need is going to be in cinemas all over the country on the 30th of July. So make sure you go check that out. It's going to be absolutely brilliant. Mark, enjoy the rest of your evening, and hopefully we'll get to speak to you again very soon.
Thank you. See you, mate.
Speak to you soon. Bye-bye. So, yeah.
The Superbike Show on Motorsport Radio.
Hey everyone, Bradley Smith.
Hi guys, I'm Danny Buchan.
Hi, I'm Tom Sykes.
This is Motorsport Radio.
Wow. There was a fantastic look at the psychology of not just a description of the psychology of the riders and what it takes to race as well, but also about the filmmaking industry, making films about sport, in particular BSB. So that was, I found it pretty interesting, Liam. I don't know about you. That was it was great to hear from him anyway.
Yeah, it was brilliant to hear from. I know nothing about how to make a film or anything like that, and just I'm really looking forward to it because the psychological aspect of racing, you hear people mention it, but we don't know too much about it. So it'll be great to hear from the Haslam's, as Mark was saying, about their turmoil and how difficult it was for them as a family. And Peter Hickman racing at the TT, we all know how dangerous and how spectacular it is to watch these riders race around the Isle of Man TT course, passing by trees and barriers. It's going to be great. As Mark was saying, it would have been great to have got Valentino Rossi on, but then again, he's a very busy man, very high in demand man. So it's a shame that we don't get to hear his take on what it's like racing at 40 years old and why he's continued on for so long. But nonetheless, we've got Freddie Spencer, which he comes from he's the last ever 500cc and 250cc champion to win both championships in the same season. So it would be great to get a bit of an insight into what that was like. Colin Edwards as well. He came through the Superbike route, spent years in MotoGP without a lot of success. Got some success, but sort of having to push yourself day in, day out to be a top line rider and world champion as well.
It really does look and sound as well from Mark's description like a true classic, I suppose. Check it out, and when it comes out, I think he said like nationwide from July 30th. I think he said.
Yes, July 30th nationwide. It's all across the UK, and if you want to see or if you want to find out if it's near you, just go on to speedismyneed.co.uk and you'll find out what cinema's closest to you that'll be showing that. So it's mainly Odeon cinemas, but I think there's some other different cinemas in there as well.
Pretty good job, I would say. And I'm going to watch that. I'm going to go and pay some good money to watch a good movie. A documentary.
Absolutely, I will be the same. Yeah, documentary. If you're a fan of cinema experiences, go get yourself a wee slush puppy or AC Blast or whatever they're called nowadays. Well worth it. Watch yourself a motorbike movie and enjoy it, because I've seen Fastest in the cinema before that. I've seen a Superbiker in the cinema. All great to watch. Love a documentary. And I found it particularly interesting that you might explore the family aspects within racing next. Now, I'd love to see the Marquez's, the Haslams.
Yeah. I'm just thinking of a few families I know, and I'm thinking, stay away from them. It's that as you say, that will be interesting. There's a special breed of family, which when you've got them all racing competitively at various decades and points in their lives and stuff. Again, that would be the Formula One journalist Will Buxton brought out a book recently. I'm trying to remember what the title of it was. I think it was My Greatest Defeat, the name of the title.
It was.
And it's all about really big race drivers, and most of the time, as you know, everyone focuses on their successes. You've won so many championships, blah blah blah, and everyone sort of talks about all the good times. But this particular book, and I just thought it was a really, really, really interesting angle, and maybe something that Mark could look into as well. But I would understand he might struggle making a movie asking people about their greatest defeats and searching deep in within their souls. And for that reason, anyway, Will Buxton ended up talking mostly to people who have retired now, for understandable reasons, because you don't want to be going around telling people what your greatest defeat is, or opening yourself up after spending decades building yourself up into a hardened athlete, effectively. So just putting it out there. If you wanted to do a movie about that would be good as well, I suspect. But Speed is My Need. I almost said that wrong. Coming out July 30th nationwide in Odeon cinemas, and I think he said in the autumn on Netflix as well. So that will be fantastic. So yeah.
Yes, it's absolutely brilliant when you get to see something that you love so much. You feel like you're the only one that loves it. For example, superbikes or just motorbike racing in general, really, and you get to see it on sort of Netflix, and you go, hey, lots of people get to see that now, which is great. And as you said, he's wanting to bring it back to the masses, a bit like what it was like in the 70s with Barry Sheen. And it's what we love. We love it. You love it, and of course we want everyone else to love it as well. So he's doing a great thing, and I think it'll be very interesting because, as you said, the psychological aspect is getting explored in this, and that is opening us up into the world of a rider's mind. And what I found very interesting about what he said was that the things that we can't comprehend as much around a racetrack is that, as he said, we go around the corner and we go, oh wow, that was really fast, I took that amazingly. And if something goes wrong, a world champion has already thought about that 6 times before he's even got there. And I thought, that's utterly unreal. So I can't wait to see it, and I can't wait to see more about what it's all about.
Certainly, yeah. If you have been tuned in this evening and sending a few comments our way, and we've not read them out, don't worry, we're not being rude. Not entirely, anyway. It's just because we've been busy trying to do a show. But hello to Chris Howells, who's tuned in. We know. He says, presumably regarding the movie, he says, "Wow, looks awesome." And David Graham says along the same sort of lines. Hello, David, by the way, who I think wanted to chip in and ask a question. Unfortunately, he's gone now, David. So, however, you can go and watch the movie, available from the end of this month. So there you go. So hello, David, and to everybody else who is tuned in at the moment as well. If you're tuned into this and we're not live, so I'm talking to future people now, you can go back, i.e. still in the future, and watch again that interview and even catch our trailer on the website motorsport.radio. That was difficult to do. Anyway, so my name's Lester. Liam Hodgins is here, and we were talking about MotoGP earlier. Have we got any other bits of gossip about MotoGP, or are we done for the time being?
We are done with MotoGP, but there's a little bit of gossip about Moto2. Not too much. As we know, it's the summer break at the moment, so there's not too much going on in the world of MotoGP, Moto2, Moto3. But Mark VDS is hopeful that Alex Marquez will be retained for 2020 in the team. Team manager, Joan Olive, ex-125cc racer and podium finisher. As I said, the team manager of the squad now, and he said that today we are finalising discussions with the rider and his manager and hope to hear from them soon. So it looks like Alex Marquez will be staying in Moto2 for another season, one more season, but mainly because there's not enough rides in MotoGP. There's 3 rides that haven't been tied up yet. Takaki Nakagami in the second LCR Honda squad, which will definitely be done at some point. And both Real Aventia seats are still available. Tito Rabat and Carol Abraham. Now, it's believed that Carol Abraham will be retained for next, bring some money into the team. But the team is wanting a fast young rider to push to the limit and get results out of that bike. We know Alex Marquez is fast. Well, he's leading the World Championship in Moto2 at the moment, won 4 of the last 5 races. And I think they want someone like Alex Marquez, but I think Alex Marquez, which I agree with him in this one, would prefer to stay in Moto2 for another season on competitive machinery rather than riding around near the back and on competitive machinery in MotoGP. Because if you do that, you're just sort of sealing yourself to possibly a shorter career in MotoGP, and you'll also get forgotten quite quickly, even though you are Marc Marquez's brother. But yeah, if you're sort of flying around at the back of the field and you're pushing hard on a uncompetitive bike, you might push too hard over the limit, you start crashing, you lose a bit of confidence in yourself. So if he stays in Moto2, if he wins it this year, or if he misses out in the championship this year, he has 2020 to go for it again, and then he can move into MotoGP, possibly in the Repsol Honda squad alongside Mark. We'll see. Interesting.
We have extended the invitation for Alex to come onto the show. I mean, Mark's more than welcome if he wants to come on as well. But we
don't need to talk to Mark. We'd rather hear from Alex.
Yeah,
I like Mark.
Yeah, but we hope to I don't know, drag him on the show at some point. Maybe after he's just done that big announcement, and maybe that's what he was just waiting for. So if you tuned in, hello there, Alex. Good evening. So and anybody else as well. We've got like a list of like people who we want to get on the show, and it's growing week by week. Somewhere in the top 10 of that list is Romano Fenati, as I might have said previously. But yeah, so anyway, so Moto2 news, or / gossip / not news. But if you happen to have stumbled upon breaking news that we have not found out, because sometimes cheeky PR people like to drop news just as we're on air, and we pick it up just as we go off air, and then we're like, oh crap, we could have mentioned, like, you know, that. Then let us know. Don't be afraid to barge in with your comments and opinions, and tell us about news, or just that Liam's opinions are wrong, or that I'm right, once again, with various predictions. I was almost correct at the weekend when I said that, I think I said last week on last week's show, that Ray would basically just storm all the races.
Well,
not quite.
You predicted 3 wins for Ray. I predicted 1 win for Ray. So we're both in the middle. We've both kind of been right.
Or both wrong, as it's
well, yeah, we're both as wrong as each other.
Yeah. All right, then. So moving swiftly on then, Liam, back to where we started the show with, BSB. And, we've mentioned Glenn Irwin is out for this round, if you've just tuned in. It might be a bit of a shock to you, but he is going to sit out this round, owing to... Do we know what the exact virus is, or is it just a virus?
We don't know exactly what it is. Now, I tried to do some research before we came on the show, and then a minute before we came on the show, I was like, oh, wait a minute, my mum used to be a nurse. I could have called her up and asked her, and I forgot. So, Mum, if you're watching, give me a text.
Liam's mum has been replaced now officially by Google. Sorry about that. So, but
Google's about to be replaced by my mum.
Whatever you do, don't go on like WebMD. Basically, don't Google any symptoms, because it's always cancer. Basically, even if you've got I had a thing with like I banged my thing, and I thought my fingernail was going to come off, and it was all swollen, and then basically I googled it, and cancer, but it wasn't. Don't Google symptoms, kids.
Yeah, I mean, you could look up something completely unrelated, and then you get the fear that you've got something which is worrying.
Exactly.
But it's not, so don't.
Yeah. So Michael Laverty back in to the championship, probably maybe just for this one weekend.
Yeah, most likely. I can't see him really doing anything else after this one. He's got commitments in the World Endurance Championship, obviously with BT Sport covering MotoGP. So he might just do this round because he likes Netterton. He's gone well there in the past. But I don't see Keith Farmer returning anytime soon, so maybe Michael Laverty will stick around for a little bit longer, which would be good to see. We know Michael Laverty is very popular in the paddock, but only time will tell.
Well, one person who will be returning this weekend, yes, it's Danny Kent, former Moto3 world champion.
Yes, returning with the MV Agusta squad, which is going to be very, very exciting to see, because MV Agusta, as Michael Howarth has been telling us the last few shows that he's been on, is that it's a very old bike and it's not got much power in it, but it's probably the best handling bike that he's ever ridden. So, ridden in Etterton, it might actually go quite well, especially through the first couple of sections before the long back straight. So, could work well in Danny's favour. We know he's done a bit of testing there in the past with the bike, so it could be well up for a good result this weekend. I don't want to predict anything, because if I predict he might do well, then he probably won't.
He'd be up for a good result.
Yes, he will be up for a good result, as in he'll want to go and get a good result.
Okay.
So I did there.
Let's be honest, all eyes, just like they were with Scott at the start of the season, everybody will be looking towards Danny just to see what he does and how well he does. First weekend back since the end of last season, and he only had a couple of races then. So, yeah, kind of he's still on that blank slate. in terms of.
Yeah, the one thing I will say,
BSB rookie, isn't he?
He's still pretty much a BSB rookie. I think he only done Brands Hatch with the Hulse squad at the end of last season. I would say that let's not put him under too much pressure this weekend, and let's just let him build up his confidence, build up racing in the BSB paddock. Of course, he's going to be a little bit race rusty because he's not raced since last October. So someone who's been very used to racing week in, week out, basically, he's not done too much racing. So let's give him time to get up to speed and see what he can do for the rest of the season after that. And let's see what happens for 2020.
Indeed, yes. Now, Brad Ray has gone off the boil, or the package of Brad Ray, bike and team have not been working so much well, up until maybe Knock Hill, when even then it didn't exactly come together. But apparently Liam is feeling a bit more confident about this weekend. Yes, they think they've found something in the bike over Knock Hill, which was, as we know... Yeah. Oh, what's that line in the back? Oh, wait a minute, it's the front of Fox would be needing all year. So yeah, he feels like he can push a lot more with the bike and can be a lot closer to the front. He's hoping for a top 6 minimum in both races, which is good to hear because that means he's feeling like a top 6 is very doable. He was running in the top 6 in race 2 at Knock Hill before the engine went pop. So yeah, maybe they need a new engine, which you just suggested, Lester, which would be quite good. But he set pole position at Snetterton back in 2018, so it's looking up for Brad Ray and the build-based Suzuki. What a squad. Jinx. Sorry, Brad. I'm so sorry about that. Liam's just jinxed it. Well, we know if I say anything bad and I jinx anything, he'll come and hunt me down at the next Cool Fab event at Lid, if he's there. He actually won't be at Lid, even though he is the kid from Lid and he is literally local to the track, but he'll be, I'm told... Suzuka. Yes, doing something at Suzuka or Mallory or something, either one. I forget which one he's doing, but he won't be at Lid, which is ironic because he is actually the actual kid from Lid. But anyway. The Milky Bar kid from Lid. Exactly. So Brad, again, everybody's still, he's probably the most supported rider yet to achieve. Do you know you've got this like sort of a bracket just underneath like the massive names, and he's sort of just on the edge of being a massive name, even though he's only had like handful of wins really, and he's, do you know what I mean? He's that sort of, and yeah, for fans and supporters of Brad, they don't really want him to, his stock, his reputation to get any. Yeah, we all know his talent. He's got talent in abundance. We know that, and he's had a great career up until this year, and he's worked his way up from a period of time. I feel like that he kind of got forgotten, which was the British Supersports back in 2016, and then halfway through the season it just clicked, and all of a sudden he started winning races, and he almost caught Tad and McKenzie in that championship that year, and then he came up to BSB at the start of 2017, and he was the third rider in the Suzuki squad alongside Taylor McKenzie and Sylvain Gintoli, and after a couple of rounds he started outperforming both of them, getting results that they couldn't get, and he was on a stock bike. So we know he's got so much talent. He won the opening 2 races at Donington in 2018, was having a good season until it just sort of all fell away for whatever reason, loss of confidence with the bike. Maybe he was doing too much with just, for example, Suzuka. Maybe I'm going from Dunlops back to Pirellis. It just seemed to maybe... Everybody goes through, head around that. Yeah, everyone does go through a bit of a dip. I'll tell you this, though, and it is a total prediction, which you can replay back when it doesn't happen next year, but I will bet, no money, but I will bet that Brad will be in Moto 2 next season. How you know that, Lester? I'm just saying I'm predicting it. I'm not saying I know it, but that's just Jake Dixon did it. Yeah, but you always predict something, and you seem to always know something. That's why you predict and tend to get it right.
So
no, it's quite the opposite, to be honest. I say enough crap, and then occasionally some of it is kind of true. Then you don't hear about the ones that aren't true. So
you're exactly like Eddie Jordan. You say enough stuff and it turns out to be right.
Yeah, if it's a good thing, yeah, why not? Sure. But that's just my prediction. Again, you can replay this next season in 2020 when he's back in BSB or he's in Supersport or whatever, I'm just saying. And he's not where I just said he was going to be. And I think he'd thrive in that environment, to be honest. He is to my mind, potentially world-class rider.
I think in many people's minds he is, and you're not wrong. He is a world-class rider. You've even got to watch him out on track. He looks like a world-class rider. He looks like he's built for World Superbikes or the Grand Prix paddock. It's just a matter of time to see how long he gets there. You've got to remember, he's also a Red Bull Rookies winner back in the day, and I know it seems like a long time ago, but he has won a Red Bull Rookies race. Gets some of the biggest names in the planet at the moment. So yeah, there's a wee stat for you if you didn't know that. Red Bull Rookies winner. I think a lot of people didn't know that already. So it'll be good to see Brad Ray. See what we can do this weekend. What he needs to do is not crash the bike. Just build upon.
Thanks, coach.
I should be a rider's coach. Just don't crash this weekend. Just build upon what you've done every weekend. Don't crash, and then no crash.
Yeah, all you need to do is go fast. Send it.
Go fast. Go fast, no crash. There we go. Exactly. So, yeah. Be great to see what you can do this weekend. And I'm not going to predict anything, but I'll predict.
I'm not going to predict anything, but I'll predict. Okay.
I'll predict he'll have a good weekend.
Well, according to you, everyone's going to have a good weekend this weekend.
Not everyone. I like to look on the positive side. But just saying how Brad Ray needs the confidence booster, the team does as well. And speaking to some of them at Knockhill, they seemed all upbeat and very happy. And even though Brad Ray finished 6th in race 1, they were just all buzzing about the result. I don't think they were buzzing so much about the result, but I think they were buzzing about how much the gap to the leader was not that big. And even when he retired from race number 2, he was within 6 seconds of the race leader. So sometimes you don't look at the result, you look at the gap to the leader, and the gap to the leader has come down. Yeah, and that's a great positive to take, because even though a lot of races this year it was plus 20 seconds, to be down to 5 seconds is a massive improvement.
Definitely. So yeah, without spending an undue amount of time on Mr. Brad Ray and the team, we'll just say good luck, especially for next year as well. I'm just thinking, should I put money on that? No, probably shouldn't. Don't think anyone will take it. Anyway, moving on, because Josh Brooks, he's planning a comeback or a fight back for this round?
Fight back.
Yeah.
Yes, he got, I wouldn't say ceremoniously trounced upon by Scott Redding at Knockhill, but he wasn't as comfortable or as quick as Scott was. Now, many of us predicted, myself included, that Brooks would outperform Scott Redding at Knockhill, but like Michael Howard said last week on the show, he thought Scott would be absolutely fine at Knockhill, and he absolutely was. 2nd in race 1, won race 2, and Josh Brooks has never really got on well with Knockhill, so he's coming to Snetterton this weekend, a track that he absolutely loves. He's won there in the past and feels like himself and the team and the bike will be a lot more competitive this weekend. It'll suit him a lot more. He's currently sitting 31 points behind his teammate Scott Redding in the championship, but with BSB, that could all change in an instant. So we'll have to wait and see. We just know that Josh Brooks will never give up, and he will be challenging near the front. Okay. Especially on a circuit that he loves.
Ah, right. That's one of his favourites, is it?
Yes.
It does seem to be a lot. Go on.
I was going to say not a lot of riders' favourites, because even though from a map it looks very fast and very flowing, it's quite short and quite stop-start in many places.
I can see that, yeah. I mean, there's only the start-finish straight and the back straight, which is... Yeah. But it depends, as a rider, it depends what you like, doesn't it? It depends on what turns you on. You know, whether you like a fast turn, or just like going fast in a straight line, or just like some people like all the technical left and right bibbidi bobbidi things. Anyway. Yeah, you can obviously tell I'm a rider, so...
I would love to hear that in a track description of a technical analysis, all the wee bibbly bobbly bits.
So big news for people who are going to Snetterton this weekend. Massive news. Anybody, a regular visitor to Snetterton, might know that if you were feeling a little peckish and you wanted to hunt for a bargain for some food, you would know that you might be out of luck over the past few years. However, eagle-eyed people travelling to Norfolk, Norwich, would have seen going past Snetterton that there is a new motorway services being built, and the breaking news is it's now open, and it's literally right next to Snetterton. I was recently at Snetterton a couple of weeks ago, and I was standing on the banking on the back straight, and you could literally find your way. I think they should build like a path directly from that banking, directly through the trees, and then it's literally that close. You can probably walk into... they've got a McDonald's there, they've got a drive-through Greg's, drive-through Starbucks, and a spa, and petrol and all that sort of stuff as well. But yeah, a new place to go for a close convenience place. So I'm imagining that that new Snetterton services will be absolutely swamped by like 10,000 plus people at the weekend, all looking for like roughly cheap sandwiches or burgers or something. The drive-through Greg's sounds good. That does sound good.
It does. It stops people from getting a bit peckish over the weekend and making their way to the cornfield on the outside of turn 1 and trying to find something to eat in there. I don't know if it was a cornfield. I just always thought it was.
Okay. Right.
I don't know. So yeah, but it's always a positive.
Yeah.
And
I'm just saying. I mean, as great as Tyrrell's restaurant is, bar and restaurant. It's if you're on a budget, if you're trying to do motorsport on a budget, and I know a lot of people do that because it can get very expensive, especially if you're travelling down. There's all the petrol costs, the plus accommodation if you're renting somewhere as well, hotels or whatever, even camping, even paying for a grandstand seat as well, because they're not free either. Plus all the food and all the drinks if you're buying beer. Very expensive if you're just doing one weekend, and especially if you're taking the family. So I just thought that would be extremely popular place to go, unless they jack all the prices up to like double, which is probably what I'd do if I'd opened a brand new services right next to Snetterton, knowing that there's going to be like 50,000 people in attendance, all hungry, coming and going right past your store. So.
We should give you the title, List of Forbes, The Economist.
Well, it's a consideration that a lot of people have to make as well, because as I mentioned, not everybody. Motorsport is increasingly expensive, and you can't afford to take your whole family. Sometimes you can just afford to leave them behind and go and enjoy racing yourself. And sometimes you do have to count the pennies and decide that. If maybe I go to the Snetterton services for a sandwich at like whatever couple of pounds, that means I've got more money for beer in Tyrrell's later tonight with my friends.
Well, how much is a Greg's sausage roll nowadays? Is it not like £1.20 now?
No idea.
That's quite expensive.
I don't know. I couldn't even tell you. Maybe we need a consumer, some eagle-eyed consumer, getting some stealth pics for us, and we can use the hashtag. We can revive the hashtag rate my motorsport plate, which we unleashed rather unfairly, I think, on Silverstone, because since then, I don't know if it was just because of the Grand Prix, they have upped their game significantly, but that doesn't make anywhere near as many headlines as a sausage on a metal tray.
Well, they wouldn't. They would get worse headlines if they had Lewis Hamilton in there having a plate of whatever mush that was and plastic forks.
Anyway, moving on. As I say, they seem to have greatly improved their service. One facility that is always great, Tyrrell's Restaurant at Snetterton. Yay! Check that out, by the way, just in case anyone from MSV is tuning in. Just thought I'd bring you that consumer bit of advice, because I know everyone likes a bargain, don't they? So, anyway, so Stock 1000, just a little note on that. No, actually, before we get to them, BSB and Team WD-40 have been apparently on their dyno all day on Tuesday. Literally all day. Or was it Wednesday? Tuesday, I'm going to say Tuesday. Brent from the team said they found something very interesting, some improvements. But on the in testing, in that static environment, it's one thing finding, how a couple of tenths or whatever of a second or something. I don't even know what they were testing, to be honest, whether it was a new part or a new bit or whatever. It doesn't always translate to on-track performance. So Team WD-40 feeling quite hopeful this weekend. Claudio not having the best time of it lately, looking for those improvements, and hopefully things will help in satisfying him. I don't know what exactly is been going wrong. I mean, nobody really likes to pry into riders who are storming about looking angry and frustrated. They're just okay. Again, good luck to Claudio and the entire rest of the team. Moving on to Stock 1000 and Team IMR. I think it was this week or last week. I can't remember when they announced it anyway. Ian Moffat, team principal, said that they will become a BSB team next year for 2020. They quite hopeful about potential results. They're having a good season this year in Stock 1000. It's only their second full season since they started. Totally came onto the scene from scratch, basically, I think, last year, Liam, and they've said that they haven't signed any riders or made any decisions on manufacturers yet, but they do have a preferred option, apparently, and they believe that racing in the Superbike class, probably with one bike, would bring a higher profile for their sponsors as they look to the future. So good luck to IMR for the future, 2020, and for this weekend as well.
Yeah, it's great to get more teams up into BSB, especially young teams. I always like seeing a new team coming through and seeing how they progress through the categories and through the series, and hopefully one day be one of the top teams and challenge the big guns. Yeah, the old guard, the big guns. But you said Alex Olsen has worked very hard. He's done a great job all season, and they haven't picked a rider yet. Take Alex Olsen up. They probably will, or probably consider him very highly to taking him up to BSB next year. But it'd be great to see Alex, after putting in all that hard work and developing the team into what it is, or help developing the team into what it is today, to take him up to BSB and give him a shot and see how he does.
Exactly. It might excuse me while I choke on my word. It might just come down to a suggestion from their sponsor or new sponsor, as sometimes is the case, or it might just be that someone has a bigger budget and has more of a say. And but if it is Alex, then yeah, great. There's also another stack of other equally talented riders as well. So I'm going to keep my eye on that anyway. I'll keep an eye on it. Have we got any other support category news? I can't think of any. Do you have any news? Are you tuned in? Are you listening live? Because we are live right now, Thursday night. If you're a rider, especially, and you've got some big news under your hat that you want to get off your chest, then let us know. Often we do like to be the bearer of breaking news. You're more than welcome to dive into our DMs and give us a little tip off if you want to remain anonymous, maybe. Or you can jump on Skype and you can come on the show and tell us the world yourself if you want. So, just saying.
I did find the WD-40 one quite interesting. That they've been working on the dyno and found some things. Now, no matter what season they've had so far, I think Claudio Corte has been just such a brilliant professional of just being an integral part of that team and keeping them going. He's just tried his hardest, pushed at every opportunity he can. He doesn't know the circuits that well, so he's doing a great job. And when we get back to a circuit that he's already ridden on, and if they found improvements, now we could possibly see Claudio a lot further up the grid. So it'll be good to see the WD-40 team, and they've had lots of success in the past in other categories, and fingers crossed we can see them further up the grid in BSB. Everyone seems positive going into this weekend, which is great.
Yeah, it won't be like that come Monday though, will it? Or Sunday night. So yeah, we maybe should have like a phone-in show or something like they do on where like on a Sunday night or something, people just phone in moaning and complaining and just the daily whinge or something like that. It was like so and so, he completely like screwed me over there on that lap or whatever, and then it's just people like whinge. It's basically like listening to Talk Sport, but for motorsport, I suppose, the motorsport version of that. Just thought it might make a good show, or not. Anyway, other people whinging and complaining as well in recent times. World Superbikes. Yeah.
Alvaro Bautista having a horrible time. Yeah, poor Alvaro. He's only scored nothing at Laguna Seca at the weekend. Don't laugh, poor guy. From a possible 62 points, he got nil points. Let's say, like say in the Eurovision Song Contest, and what has gone from a 16-point lead within the space of 8 days has gone into an 81-point deficit. So he's lost 97 points in the space of 8 days. It's horrible for the person that we thought was going to run away with the title this year. 14 wins in the bag, looked like he had the world at his feet. New contract beckoning. Possibly a move to MotoGP at one point, but obviously with Daniele Petrucci and Jack Miller about to get signed up, but Daniele Petrucci staying at the Ducati factory team. Still, nearly becoming a world champion. It's just all gone complete opposite direction. It's just gone so far south that we just we can't comprehend it ourselves. The only thing that could possibly...
Didn't he say, though, I can't remember his exact quote, but didn't he say something along the lines of that, that's it for him now, the World Championship's basically over?
I don't remember reading that, but maybe he did. I think sometimes in life when you do start getting a lot of success, you do become a little bit complacent, and maybe you just sort of ease it off that 0.5%, and maybe that's where the mistakes have suddenly started coming from. And now that Jonathan Ray's caught back up, he started pushing again in the opposite direction and over-pushed and started crashing out. So Johnny Ray is the 4-time world champion and world Superbike legend that we know he is. And if he wins the championship this year, I'm not going to say when he wins it, because the way this season has been turned on its head, it could take another twist after the summer break. But if he wins it, this has got to be by far his best championship in World Superbikes to date. Now, the only thing that possibly Bautista can see positively is that having an 81-point deficit might not be the end of the world. We've seen in the past, for example, 2009, Haga and Spies. Noriyuki Haga was leading the championship by 88 points, coming out of round 6 at Kyalami, and he started having a bit of a horrible season. Ben Spies brought it back, and then going into the final round, I think he had a 10-point lead going into Portimao, crashed out of the first race. Spies won it, and then race 2, Spies finished 5th, Haga 2nd, and Ben Spies won the championship by 8 points. So there was only 2 races back then. There's 3 races now, two full races for 25 points, a Super Bowl race for 16 points. And then again, got to think back to the classic that was 2002, after race 1 at Laguna Seca. Yeah, that one, the one that goes down in history as the best comeback of all time, basically. Colin Edwards was trailing Troy Bayliss by 58 points going into race 2 at Laguna Seca. And then race 2 at Laguna Seca, Colin Edwards won, and Troy Bayliss never won a race again that season. And Colin Edwards won the championship by 11 points in the final race. So you could say it is over this season, but we can't say it's over just yet, because you never know what's going to happen, especially with 2 races in the weekend instead of the 2. But it's looking slightly signed, sealed, and delivered.
One person who did say it's over was Bautista. I just googled it to find the actual quote. Now I don't know if this is just a badly translated version of the quote, but I don't know exactly whom he said it to as well. But I found the quote on GP1 website, which I think is an Italian media outlet. So I don't know if it was, as I say, badly translated, but anyway, the quote is, yes, the World Championship is almost over, but now we have to think of it race by race, practice by practice, and try to continuously improve. He says other things as well, but yeah, he did actually say it, or he suggested it.
Yeah, he suggested it. Almost over. Let's say it was over. I remember reading that quote now.
Almost over. Once you're thinking in that in terms anyway. I mean, the psychology of thinking, because he's got it in his head now that it's basically over. I mean, he can do wordplay, whatever, but that's in his head, that the championship's over for him.
And that's what I'll go back to. Like, you sort of ease off by that maybe percent or 0.5%, and then mistakes start creeping in, and then when you start getting caught, you start trying too hard again, and then you make more mistakes. So that's possibly what's happened, and that's probably why we've seen him crash from many races, and crashed out of every race at the weekend there. He was trailing Johnny Ray by 24 points going into the weekend. It didn't look like he was going to win a race at all at the weekend, even if he didn't crash. And because of practice and qualifying, he just wasn't on the pace that Ray was on, and even his teammate Chaz Davies was on. So it looks like him pushing too hard, because he's lost that lead of the championship. He's now just gone and done himself a lot more harm in the process, obviously by injuring his shoulder, partially dislocating it, and now he's trailing Johnny Ray, who we know is is metronomic in the way he rides. He barely makes any mistakes. When he does, he manages to still manage to pick up some points in it, and this is how he wins championships. He's not had the easiest of times of it this year, because the Ducati's come in and Batista's just been on form. But Ray, when he didn't win, was picking up second places.
He never gave up, even when it was looking, the first sort of quarter of the season, when he was getting absolutely trounced. I think, what was it, like 12 races in a row Bautista won, or 12 or 14. He won a lot straight away, and then we were all like, oh, I mean, we were all thinking it's over now for Ray, but he never thought that. And you can tell he never thought that by the way that he's come back, or stayed on it, kept the pressure on him, and seemingly, some might say, been forcing Bautista to make the odd mistake.
Yeah, there's one person in that championship that you can't give a sniff of anything to, and that's Johnny Ray. It's a bit like Marc Marquez. If you're leading Marc Marquez by about 40 points, and you start easing off it, then Marc Marquez is going to pounce on you. And Johnny Ray's exactly the same in World Superbikes. He's absolutely formidable. He's possibly the greatest World Superbike rider we've ever seen. I'm not going to say the greatest, because it's hard to compare this generation to the 90s when you had Corsa, Fonke and all of that. But in terms of stats, he is. So
he's the greatest.
Some might argue that Valentino Rossi is the greatest in MotoGP. Some might argue, for example, I don't know, Giacomo Agostini or Casey Stoner might have been. But that's sort of an argument for
another
pub
show.
Discussion. Another show, yeah. End of year. Who's the greatest of all time? But as I was saying, Johnny Ray is, you just can't give him that opening, that small opening, or a hint of weakness, because if you do that, then he's going to do what he's done this season and turned I think it was a 63-point deficit after the Super Pole race at Jerez into an 81-point lead going into summer break. So he's put Alvaro Bautista under pressure when he's not been winning, and it's and now he's pushed Alvaro Bautista into making mistakes, which has in turn made more mistakes. And the unfortunate thing is about it is that Alvaro Bautista's head will be in tatters at the moment, and fingers crossed the summer break can sort that out, and he can come back fighting, and we might still get another twist of the unpredictable 2019 World Superbike Championship, which will be good. Hopefully it goes down to the last round, but we never know.
No, it'd be good if you came on the show, amazingly, and then just put you right. And then he said, actually, Liam, in his accent, actually, Liam, my head is not in a mess, and I will prove you all wrong. And then he goes on to like redominate again, and then literally do it all just because you just said that comment.
Well, if I can spur someone onto greatness, then I've done my job.
Just a thought. I have weird thoughts.
Yeah.
Anyway, going into the summer break, like you say, then rumour mill is already ablaze about people coming and going, teams coming and going, potentially manufacturers, possibly. We put out a rumour based on nothing at all that maybe Suzuki might dip their toe back into World Superbikes. But have we heard anything else?
We've not heard anything about Suzuki just yet, but if they do, now you mentioned Brad Ray, you think he's going to go to Moto2. I actually think he'll go to World Superbikes with Suzuki.
Oh,
that's just a personal opinion. But before we come on to the rumour very quickly, Chaz Davies, one person who's going to go into summer break, very happy, picked up his 30th World Superbike win on his 202nd race, and it's his first race win since race 2 at Aragon in 2018, his fourth win at Laguna Seca, and more importantly, his first one with the V4 Panigale Ducati. So that's going to be great for him. Maybe he will be the rider to spur on the rest of the team and start carrying that Ducati forward. But Chaz Davies has a contract for 2020 with Ducati. Bautista doesn't, but we know that he will most likely resign for Ducati and have another season with the team. But apparently, reports are coming from Italy within the past day that Bautista has had a contract at Misano, but he hasn't signed it yet. So the CEO of Aruba, the title sponsor of Ducati, Stefano Ciccone, is stating that Alvaro's manager, who is also the manager of Andrea Dovizioso in MotoGP, thought the contract wasn't adequate enough. So I don't know if that comes down to monetary reasons or maybe being the number one rider in the team or both. Whatever not adequate enough means, then that's the reason why it's apparently not been signed yet. So
it will probably be over money, yes.
As
these things usually are.
Well, if he continues to keep crashing and dwindle further from reigning the championship, then the stock market will go down. So maybe he should get this signed while he can.
Exactly, or you end up in a just to stray back into another motorsport analogy, F1. You end up in a Fernando Alonso situation whereby if you mess it all up, then nobody will want you eventually.
Yeah, I can't. Alvaro Bautista is a smart guy. I can't imagine that he won't sign, and he probably will sign over the summer break.
He might as well. I mean, what else is he going to do?
What's the worst that can happen?
Yeah.
Apart from what's already happened, but yeah, he's on the Ducati V4. The bike is considerably. I was going to say considerably better than the rest of the bikes. It's not. It's just that he, at the start of the season, managed to make it look better than everything else. So the best thing for him to do is resign. There's no point in going to Kawasaki, for example, even though Leon Haslam hasn't been signed up and Razgatlioglu probably won't go there. So Bautista should go. You know what? That's a good amount of money. Number one status in the team or equal. No matter what, I can still win races and potentially go for the championship. Talking of Razgatlioglu, now we spoke last week about it. There were talks of him going to the factory Kawasaki squad in place of Leon Haslam for next season, but due to sponsorship, him being a Red Bull sponsored rider and Kawasaki being sponsored by Monster, that most likely won't happen unless Razgatlioglu drops Red Bull, which I doubt he will, because his mentor Kini Sofoglu has been a long time sponsor, or has been sponsored by Red Bull for a number of years. So he brought Razgatlioglu on. In turn, Red Bull went and started sponsoring Toprak Razgatlioglu a few years ago. But the rumour is that Kini Sofoglu has been contacted by Yamaha for Razgatlioglu to replace him. So if he gets replaced if he replaces Marco Melandri, that could be absolutely brilliant for his year in contract. But once again, Yamaha has ties with Monster, so he might not he might not. Most likely won't go there. So the best thing for him to do is stay with the Pacetti Kawasaki team for another year, and maybe we'll see where he goes from there. So he's not in a bad position at the moment. He's been getting lots of podiums recently. He picked up 2 podiums at the weekend. He's been looking absolutely brilliant. So the Pacetti Kawasaki team, very professional, incredible team in the paddock. So staying put where he is will possibly be the best thing for him at the moment. But as I was saying about the Yamaha deal, one Yamaha rider that's sort of, it's looking sketchy whether he might stay for the 2020 season is Alex Lowes. Apparently, he's not been offered a contract so far, and he's not really been contacted about a new contract for 2020, which is a bit weird because he's set in the championship and he's been putting in lots of great performances. So he might have to go elsewhere. And there's talks of him potentially
BSB.
Well, not BSB. But Barney Ducati are looking to bring in a second bike for next season, and Paolo Ciabatti, who is one of the top people in Ducati, is wanting Scott Redding to come over as one of the riders. So potentially could have Alex Lowes and Scott Redding as a partnership. But Big Sport News were talking to Alex Lowes and sent him a message about it, and apparently he replied back saying, "Well, I might have to go for Plan B, Asda and Derby." So I thought that was quite funny. So at least in tough times for Alex Lowes, he can still find a little bit of humour in his situation.
He is a top guy. He is, as is Top Cat Raz Gatley. Anyway, yes, that will be an interesting one if the rumour plays out to be true. Lowes and maybe Redding. Don't see it happening myself, but anyway, this is the Superbike Show. It is Motorsport Radio. Hello and welcome. If you've just tuned into the show, well, you've missed a lot of show. Where have you been? But don't worry, because you can find us on Spotify, on the old podcasty section bit, on the Apple Podcast app, on Stitcher, on Spreaker, on loads of places anyway. Just do the old search, The Superbike Show, and that'll be pretty good. Lots more, a bit more news still to come, including the rest of World Superbikes and also something about Moto America. Next.
The Superbike Show on Motorsport Radio.
Hey everyone, Bradley Smith.
Hi guys, I'm Danny Buchan.
Hi, I'm Tom Sykes.
This is Motorsport Radio.
Yep. And yes, we are live this evening. It's Thursday night. Hello and welcome. My name is Lester, and we've been across your comments this evening, so thank you very much for getting them to us. Hello to Roger Ingram, who mentioned a while or so back. He says, welcome back, Ryan Vickers. I think at some point, Liam, we might have mentioned Ryan Vickers. I don't remember mentioning Ryan Vickers, but I think it was when we were talking about who's coming back in terms of like Snetterton and that sort of thing. So, he is coming back anyway. Ryan Vickers back from his injury, his spell, his short time away.
Yeah, I want to put my hand up and apologise. I had it written down and I forgot to mention he was back this weekend. So thank you very much for keeping me in check there. That was my fault and I'm really sorry. But Ryan, fingers crossed you can stay safe for the rest of the season and have a good weekend.
Exactly. Yeah, definitely. Ryan back this weekend, as is a number of, as we've already discussed, really, a number of big names, I suppose. Danny Kent back this weekend from his spell on the sidelines, let's say. I don't know how else to say it, but all happening this weekend in BSB. And we've still got was there any more World Superbike news to bring, or was that it? I think that
was mainly it. There's talk about after the summer break the rev limit being changed about, but it's so complicated that no one really knows which way it's going to go at the moment. So your guess is as good as mine. So people are thinking, well, go. Neither am I. And Ducati have had some revs taken off. Kawasaki, I think, have had a little bit taken off as well. Now that Kawasaki seem to be scoring better results because, down to Bautista crashing and no one else really been there in the mix apart from Jazz Davies a couple of times this year, and of course at Laguna Seca. will Kawasaki get more revs cut off than Ducati? Could be. I don't know. I think some people will know, but personally,
I'm already confused because I'm not understanding why the thing is it like a success rev penalty and.
Yeah, it's basically the better you do, then they'll penalise you and take revs off you to sort of try and make the competition close up. But
seems really fair.
Yeah, well, it's good for the spectators if it works, which it doesn't really.
So it's not a good thing then?
No, not massively. There's other ways you could probably balance out the performance.
Yeah.
But I'm not a technical guru, so...
You should make, literally, like, I don't know, if someone's dominating, let's just say this time last year, as in terms of a success penalty, maybe you have like what they do in car racing, like have a success ballast. Maybe you have Johnny Ray... maybe strap a really fat person to, or you know, the back of Johnny Ray's bike and like see him, you know, do a quick lap. Then, eh? No,
yeah, I get your point. But in bike racing, ballast is really tough to
or something
to get right because obviously the rider's a movable component on the bike, and trying to place the ballast in the right position is.
It's still funny to see though.
Yeah, just give him 250 kilograms of ballast and he'd probably still win. I always remember jokes of MotoGP back in the mid 2000s of could stick ballast on Rossi's bike and he'd probably still win the race. Johnny Ray would probably be the same. So they could do something. I'm not too sure what they could do. Well, Superbikes is a bit of a mess at the moment. They're sort of solving it out a bit.
It seems less of a mess this year.
Yeah, the last couple of seasons has been a bit more of a mess than it is this season, which is good because obviously if it's a bit more smoothed out and people are understanding it a bit more, then you can always improve it from there and there. So I'm quite glad they managed to get rid of the sort of reverse grid positions. I just didn't think that worked at all. Didn't like it too much. So I think the Super Pole race is a lot better to go with. But to even at the performance, it's quite tough to do. And I think, well,
I suppose we could, go into like what they need to do and blah blah blah, and the problem with World Superbikes. But basically, the conversation always comes back around to the fact that it's not the 90s anymore, and the glory days. Just like I hear so many other motorsport people in different motorsports, F1, touring cars, and bikes as well, always bemoan the fact that it's not as classic as it was when they were a kid. Well, it's different. Everything's different, and nothing ever stays the same.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. World Superbikes, I think the depth of field, a great depth in field, but compared it to the 90s when it was in its heyday and it was bigger than MotoGP at some point, I just think it's not as rich, if that makes sense, in depth of field as it once was. Maybe rider talent, yes. Manufacturer-wise, bike-wise, probably not. So it's a shame, but maybe, for example, when BMW start their bike out even more, we'll have Tom Sykes up there. He's been showing great signs of it, so that having him up there battling with Johnny Ray, you just always know there's still a bit of needle between those two, coming back from when they were teammates, so that will always be something great to look at. But World Superbikes always goes through these sort of peaks and troughs of competitiveness. I remember sort of the 2010 to 2013, 14 time.
Oh,
the racing was absolutely stellar. It was amazing. And then you had the great 2012 season where Tom Sykes lost the championship by half a point to Max Biaggi. And then sort of points like 2005 World Superbikes, for example, was absolutely rubbish. You had Troy Corson and Suzuki, just trouncing the field. And then you had Troy Bayliss in 2008, and 2009 was a great battle between Haga and Spies. And then there's always times where the World Superbikes is sort of heading back towards a better, more competitive time, which is great. It might just take a few years to do that. But like MotoGP at the start of this decade.
Okay, yeah. Everyone's got their own thoughts and opinions on it. And as I say, I'm just keen to not go down that sort of corridor of bemoaning everything just because it's not, just because we're not as young as we used to be. Anyway.
No, we never will be.
What's this I'm reading about Moto America and Tony Elias?
Yeah, so Moto America is risen from the ashes of what used to be the AMA Superbike Championship, which was in itself a fantastic domestic series. We had, in the late 90s, early 2000s, lots of great riders coming from. You might remember the likes of Matt Mladen and Aaron Yates and Nicky Hayden, of course, the 2002 AMA Superbike champion. But over the years, it just sort of dwindled, and I think it was sort of the promoters and the people running the series just didn't really care anymore, and it nearly died. And then all of a sudden, Wayne Rainey and lots of other people decided to take it over and push it forward, and it's growing in stature. And to be fair, the racing in it is brilliant. You need to watch some of the racing in it. The race around some of the best circuits in America. If you've never seen any race in America, the circuits they have over there are absolutely incredible. Tony Elias, who was once upon a time a MotoGP race winner, won probably what my favourite race of all time in MotoGP, Estoril 2006, and the first ever Moto2 champion, and he was the Moto America champion in 2017. Missed out on it just last year, but he's continuing to lead the way this season. If he doesn't finish, or when he does finish, he finishes first or second, and he's currently leading the championship by 39 points on the Yoshimura Suzuki over ex-Red Bull Rookies champion and former champion, or Moto America champion, Cameron Bobbia. So it's a great series to watch. Young American Garrett Gerloff won his first race at Laguna Seca the weekend, so they were the support category. Elias won race 1. So if you're thinking, oh, that sounds pretty good, I want to check it out. The good news is that Eurosport, the last round I think it was, managed to pick up, and they don't show it live, which is a bit of a shame, but what they do is they air it about a week later. So if you want to watch some Moto America action this weekend, the races were great to watch. Some good talent coming from it. JD Beach, you might remember him racing at the weekend of World Superbikes. He was also racing in the Moto America series at the weekend. You can watch the racing on Saturday at either 1:30 or 9:30 in the evening. So check it out. It's worth a watch. And it'd be great. I've been saying it for years. I would love to see Tony Ellis come over to BSB.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah. I love the guy. Great riding style. Seems like a lovely guy.
How old is he now?
Always had he will be. I'm going to take a wild guess. I'm going to take a stab at the dark.
Total
36.
Guess. Wow. Okay.
36. 2001. Okay, right. 2001. He was. I started watching. I started watching MotoGP. He was 18 in the 125 class. It is what year is it? 2019. Yeah, 36.
Okay. Well, Google says he's 36.
Yes. Okay. Well, my memory serves me better than Google. So, it'll be good. It's a good series to watch. Check it out. It's definitely on the rise. I've had a hunch for a while that if Suzuki comes into World Superbikes, Tony Elias could be one of the riders. He's done World Superbikes a couple of years ago.
So you're saying Elias and Brad Ray?
Yeah, that'd be a good team. You got youthful exuberance against fast experience. So one is in BSB right now. One is currently winning in Moto America at the moment. Ex Moto2 world champion, and managed to beat Valentino Rossi in a straight fight to the line back in 2006. So not many people have said they've done that.
Fair enough. Okay. Well, you heard it here first. Tony Elias on a Suzuki with Brad Ray in World Superbikes in 2020, opposed to reality.
Yeah, I'll get this so wrong.
Because I said previously that that he might go to Moto 2. Anyway.
Yeah, I think World Superbikes is a more realistic shout if Suzuki come into World Superbikes in 2020. But it's my opinion. Probably a wrong opinion.
It sounds like it is your opinion, yes. But do you have any different opinions? Do you know something that we don't? Then let us know, because that's what we want from this evening. Any other bits of news, Liam?
Nope, just that Cool Fab will be on next week from Lid.
Oh yeah,
so check that out. Yeah, so we'll be down there, and it'll be some more fantastic racing. And if you've seen a video going around of the AC40 Pros, which we've played once in this show, then you're going to then, if you check out the Cool Racing, which we will be at Lid commentating, providing live coverage of it, then yeah, you're going to absolutely love it, because the AC40 Pros is just one of the many amazing classes at Kofab.
Definitely is, and it still features some big name riders like BSB race winner Brad Ray, for example, and even Danny Kent, when he was the reigning Moto3 world champion, also popped in to have a race. I think with his at the same time as his brother. Is it Kieran Kent? I think that was a couple of years ago now, anyway. But yeah, Danny's more than welcome to pop in and. Dive on a bike. I'm sure someone could rustle him up a mini bike, probably a pit bike, to be honest, for the weekend. Just because it'd be nice to, have some. Anyway, tune in and find out what happens at round 5 in the Cool Fab Racing British Mini Bikes Championship next weekend, live from Lyd. Right here on Motorsport Radio, and it's on the Cool Fab Racing website and on their social media and on our social media, and also Liam will share it as well, plus it'll be all over YouTube and where else? Twitch. Don't forget Twitch, I always forget. But yeah, that's basically it for tonight's show. We've got Cool Fab next week, and yeah, been a good show, I think.
Yeah.
Cool. Right, so that is it. We'll post a full trailer of the brilliant looking movie Speed Is My Need, and also another shortened copy of the interview with the director of that movie on our website later, so that you don't have to go trawl back 2 hours through us waffling and saying words, basically. So we'll do that for you probably in the morning, tomorrow, whenever. But till next week, I don't think we're doing a show next week, actually, because we'll be at Lyd.
We'll be down at Lyd.
Yeah,
we'll be down at Lyd.
Unless we do an early show, but I can't. Anyway, maybe for the next 2 weeks, anyway, we didn't even do BSB predictions. Oh, God. Maybe we can do that on social media. Who knows?
We'll do it now quickly.
No, social media. I don't have the predictions. But anyway, thank you very much for tuning in. Thank you for regular listeners for tuning in as well. And if you shared the show and shared it around, then that's great. Liam, thank you very much. What will you be doing this weekend?
I will be working and watching a lot of BSB.
Oh yeah, BSB. And I'll also be basically doing much the same thing. And yeah, you can tune in to another Superbike show in about 2 weeks. Thank you. Good night.
The Superbike Show on Motorsport Radio.
Hey everyone, Bradley Smith.
Hi guys, I'm Danny Buchan.
I am Tom Sykes.
This is Motorsport Radio.